Hello and welcome back to Dial H for Heroclix. I'm your sexy ranch hand co-host Kalder and Simeon. This is episode 284. Howdy, howdy, let's get rowdy. Remix, I like it. Dial H for Heroclix is brought to you by CoolStuffInc.com, where you can find cool stuff in stock every day, including all your latest Heroclix singles and sealed products. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com. Like I said, I'm your host, Kalder and Simeon. Joining me in the studio today is, of course, my co-host, Simeon Bruce.
Ooh, it's the South Dakota kid. I don't know.
We're not there yet. We're not there yet.
I'm South Dakota guy. I'm a person.
You are...
Happy birthday, Calder.
Hey, thanks, Simeon. Like every week, we like to start off with what made us happy this week. Simeon, go ahead.
What made me happy this week was I finally, I went to one of WizKids. Not really it's a WizKids thing, but I don't really know how much involvement they actually have in it. It's mostly community driven, but it's one of their paint and take events. So I went to a local shop, a shop that I've never been to before. I've been to their sister store, the game shop in Omaha. I normally head to the one in Bellevue, but I grabbed a beholder. It's like one of those floating eyeball monsters from D&D, for those of you not in the know. Painted it up. It was fun. Took me 3 hours. Did not realize how slow I am at painting, but it was a real fun time. I was at a table surrounded by people that I don't know, of course, but people that have been painting for way, way longer, and they were like, "Oh, you're gonna dry brush this?" "Oh, I'm gonna do a chromatic something, this and that. I've got this metallic copper." I was way out of my league. I was trying to follow along, and I was failing, but it was a ton of fun. I suggest it to anyone that wants to get started painting miniatures.
Nice. Well, right on. I saw a picture of that. It looks really cool. I like your battle pine phone. It looks nice.
I threw it up on Twitter, and WizKids didn't get back to me about it.
I probably saw it and who are you? Truly not just some fan of our D&D miniatures. What made me happy this week was, it's kind of a cop-out, but my birthday, it's a bit, obviously, just a little bit of a cop-out. My family came down, and we spent the day after the South Dakota Roc tournament, went to a steakhouse, we hung out a little bit, and then me and my brother today on my actual birthday. When we're recording this is November 11th, so if anyone wants to send me something in the future, just remember, that's the day. On this day, me and my brother hung out, went to the range. We went and we rented Hellboy that came out this year. We were excited for it, and we just never went to the theater for it. Now we're less excited for it, having seen it, but it was still an okay movie. I mean, we enjoyed it. So yeah, no, we had a good. It keeps in line with me watching disappointing movies on my birthday. That's so far been a very solid tradition that's been happening. So I'm glad that keeps up. Oh Lord, but no, we had an awesome time. I had a great birthday, and I'm really super excited about it. Of course, talked to my sister a lot today because I did, after all, have to share the womb with her, sadly.
Oh, I thought you were going to say birthday.
Birthday. We do share a birthday. Yeah, I probably could have worded that in any other better way possible, but I chose the weirdest way possible. No. So yeah, no, I had a great time. I love my family. I love hanging out with them. So, what are we doing this week? Today, ladies and gentlemen, we have so much news, and by that I mean we have one piece of news and then a tournament report. So let's go ahead and get right into the news. Simeon, do you like movie sets?
Sometimes.
Sometimes movie sets are good. Sometimes they're really bad. Well, we're getting a new movie set. In April 2020, we're getting a Black Widow movie set to coincide with the release of the movie. We're also getting a Black Widow bike, little purchasable side thing. The breakdown for the Black Widow set is going to be 8 commons, 8 rares, and 2 chases. What are your thoughts on us getting a Black Widow movie set?
I like the idea of a purchasable where you know what it is to go side by side with the countertop display. So you've got like the random booster packs, but like, hey, maybe you don't want to like try your chances and get like the Black Widow. You don't want to like get like 3 Taskmasters and, you know, a Clint Barton and some other yet to be named character. You just want Black Widow, and you want that sweet motorcycle that she's on in the movie, I assume. So I like that aspect. I hope they do that with future releases, where they give us kind of like a little bonus thing like that. Other than that, I mean, I'll have to wait till I see more of the movie before I know if I want the figures.
For sure. Obviously, I hated on principle of the fact that we didn't get an Infinity War or an Endgame set, but we got a Captain Marvel and a Black Widow set. I have to hate it on that principle. Will I buy it? Probably not. I'll probably get select singles like I did with Captain Marvel, just because I really don't want to fund these single movies getting. I really hate it. I feel like I should be in the right. Like, come on. How do we get a Black Widow and a Captain Marvel movie set when we don't get an Endgame or an Infinity War set? Maybe there's something, but they can't do all those people. Blah 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 blah. Go cry. Whatever.
Well, it's like a quarter of the figures, and if they reuse the sculpts, then it's like they need 12 actual sculpts. 13 because one of the chases is special looking. You
That's
know,
right.
That's what it really comes down to is. But it's way easier to do.
Oh no, it absolutely is way easier because whatever the Captain Marvel set had like pretty much every figure was sculpt reuse in some way. I want to say I didn't buy any of it.
2 chases.
I didn't. Yeah, besides 2 chases, I'm like, yeah, there's 2 Nick Furies, 2 Coulsons, 2 whatever, all these guys, generic Kree guy, generic Skrull guy. So yeah, the Black Widow movie set should have some good soldier keyword figures. I believe Red Guardian was rumored to be in it or confirmed to be in it. Either way, someone's going to correct me like, yeah, Red Guardian's of course going to be in it, but like whatever. I like Red Guardian. I want to get good soldier keyworded figures, so I'm excited, not excited for Black Widow. In other WizKids related news, My Little Pony deep cuts unpainted miniatures are up for pre-order. So if that interests you at all, if you're a Simeon style person and you want to go take a little painting class and you want to go paint some ponies, by all means, go for it. I don't know how in-depth you could get with them, because they're just like...
Well, they come with stickers. So.
They do come with stickers, which is incredibly hard. Anyone who's put a Gundam together knows that stickers are the bane of any existence, to be honest with you.
You're going to need like the magnifying glasses and the baby tweezers.
But let's be realistic here. It's like one color. Applejack is orange. And then she's got blonde hair, so it's blonde. The eyes are green. Okay. Sorry, I chose the wrong character.
I mean, does she have freckles? I don't know. I don't watch it.
She does have freckles. You're right. No, you're right. Well, okay, Fluttershy. She's yellow, hair's pink, eyes are green or pink. I can't remember. But either way, there's like 3 colors at max. They're bland. They're just boop, bright, blank, that color, right? And then the sticker just goes on the rear. Like, it's not that difficult to place that sticker. It's not this really weird serial number sticker that goes in between the crack of this piece and this other piece in your Gundam, and your hand starts to shake, you know, like you could just slap that bad boy on there. I'm curious to see how big these figures are, also, like what they scale to. I haven't really seen that yet, but that's it. That's not Heroclix related. I just wanted to talk about it. More importantly, I wanted to force you guys to listen to me talk about it, so you're welcome.
And if you have your own pony persona out there,
that's also true.
I mean, this is an option. You can just paint your own pony persona onto, you know, I don't know at all.
I think they're starting with just the main 6 though. So if you have any male pony persona of the stud type, the Colt type,
male,
yeah. I was like, why is it shouldn't take me this long? But stud, Colt, you know, there's plenty of different names for them.
I did tweet at them and tell them to put combat dials on them.
I saw that.
And
how much would it cost to put a combat dial?
Some random lady liked it. Not someone I know, just a random lady liked it on Twitter. So She's behind it.
They should have combat dials on those My Little Pony figures. I agree. Betty White, I agree. So, that's the end of news. Moving on, we had the Roc South Dakota State Pauper Championship this weekend. So we're going to go ahead, jump into our teams, tell you how we did. So let's go do that.
Against all odds, for no reason. I was taken aghast by it. When I started...
That's because I wasn't there.
It was because Simeon wasn't there.
That's the only reason.
Anti...
All right. So, as you guys may know, so what is that clip from, Simeon, for our viewers?
That you just listened to is a nice throwback to episode 252.
So 252 is one episode right after what happened?
That was right after Kalder Ness of Dial H for Heroclix won the South Dakota State Championship.
Thank you so much for the context clues for that.
So,
obviously, I'm pitting my.
I didn't make it to that. Yeah, I didn't make it to that ROC event. So I just happened to remember that for this one.
I'm glad you not only remembered that, but went all the way back to that episode, found the spot that it was in, and then cut it and made it a new soundbite. Reminding me of my failure to quote-unquote hold my state championship. Come on. All right, so jumping into states, I'll go over my team because it didn't do very well. So I'll be fairly quick with how things went. We'll take turns, but after top 8, it's going to get a little one-sided, okay, listener at home. So my team was 200-point Colossal Juggernaut from XDPS. I had a 20-point Shredder Illusion, the 25-point Alex Wilder, the 25-point King Britain from the Earth X starter, and then a 20-point, who was the last guy? Goodness gracious, golly gosh.
Billy Batson?
Billy Batson, that's right, it was Billy Batson. 20-point Billy Batson, and then 10 points left. I threw on the Dune Buggy, and then a Rusty ID card. Team's pretty simple. It's +5 mystical. It's try to win map. Go ahead and get my barrier, my blocking terrain, and then kind of just cause havoc with the theory that once Juggernaut is on a map like this, he's really hard to take down. Fun fact, that was false. This team, I threw it together like 2 days before. I didn't really practice it that much, and then I played it the night before. Did all right. Did fine. Won 2 games. Lost 1. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty solid. That's pretty good for a Heroclix team. And then I just ran it. First, we'll just do first game, and we'll just switch on and off. Try to keep this relatively brief. First game, I played against WWE to no problem at all, because it was Grant, and he had no idea how they worked. I kind of just had to tell him, like, nope, I can't do that. I'm not allowed to outwit you, man. So you should really choose outwit. So for one of the powers I can use for Alex. So that was all right. It was... I think he maybe got 53 points. I think he killed Alex, and then he killed King Britain. So, yeah. And then he had, Undertaker, Kane, and then someone else, and I just bippity, boop, bop. I mean, they're still hard to take out. Undertaker's a very difficult character to get rid of, to be honest with you.
It's a very long dial.
It is a very long dial. Stop, click in the middle, and then if you don't totally one-shot him after that, gets regeneration. So, yeah. No, it was pretty tough, but ended up winning that game. Was not the hardest game of the day, and that was my first match. Simeon, what was your team? Tell us about the first game you played.
So my team was a +4 WWE theme team. I really wanted to... I had so many ideas of stuff to run, but what it ended up being was full point Eddie Guerrero from the... Well, there's only one Eddie Guerrero that we have. Shawn Michaels from the Rock and Sock Connection, Stone Cold from the same starter as Shawn Michaels. That's the one that can crack open a 6-pack of stunners. Asuka, and then
Asuka!
My 5th WWE member that did not count towards or against theme was Prez Ricard. And then I had 5 points left over, so I threw the ring in.
You gotta have the ring. You gotta have the ring. I mean, come on. How'd your first game go? Who'd you play against? What was the match?
My first game was Tristan from the from Wakefield.
That's true. Okay.
So he was running Onslaught with some like filler stuff. I can't remember exactly, but I know it was like there's so many Onslaughts that day that they kind of all bleed together. I'm not even kidding. Like there was at least, I want to say almost half the field that was playing was Onslaught. There was at least 8 that I know of. But yeah, it was Onslaught. I think he had like some cheap Perplex kind of stuff. And basically after playing this once, I play tested with a Finn Balor instead of Stone Cold, and Finn just didn't do what I wanted, and I was like, I would much rather have Outwit Top Dial than Finn Balor. Even though his finisher is cool, it just did not work as well as I thought. So I dropped Finn and threw Stone Cold on, and having that Top Dial Outwit was big, but I did play test once against a Nimrod Onslaught team, and so I gotta figure out like the best way to take down those 2 big monsters, which was great because I ended up playing against 4 Onslaughts that day, and basically it was Onslaught can move up and he can either incapacitate, TK, or mind control for free. So if I won, I'd move up to like the ring, and then Onslaught would have the choice of moving up, and he could mind control Asuka and Prez Ricard, because Asuka was at 40 points, and Prez does not have the WWE team ability. So that was the option. If they do that, Asuka has she's only got like a 10 attack, and 2 damage, so she's not really hurting a whole lot of my team. Prez Ricard has a 0 attack, 0 damage, so he's not hurting a lot of my team. And then I would always position them next to Eddie, who has Reversal, which gives a -2 to breakaway. So they probably weren't getting away from like the rest of my team either. Like he probably wasn't going to break them away and separate them from the pack. So really, Onslaught basically didn't have a ton of choices. He could just straight up shoot them 11 for 4, and that would kill both of them with 1 shot. So that was always an option too. But my game plan was always just move up to where the next turn I could base Onslaught if I needed to, and then do that. And after I get Onslaught off of Invuln, which sometimes took some finagling, after I got him off that, I could start submission holding him, and then he couldn't get away for the rest of the game.
Nice. I just love the bleed over with Onslaught, or just Colossals in general, and the amount of... I just love WWE. It's so funny. The submission, the Asuka lock on Onslaught, it's just hilarious. I just love that visual so much.
Yeah. I don't remember if it was against Tristan or if it was against Kevin. It might have been against both. But in one of the matches, Eddie got knocked onto his submission, which is the lasso from El Paso. And so I was double submitting one of like an Onslaught at one point, which is just like a hilarious visual. It's like Eddie's like holding the leg and Asuka's like holding like the throat or something. And Onslaught's just like, I can't take it.
That's awesome.
Like in the comics.
Yeah, just like in the comics.
He got choked out.
All you have to do is choke out Onslaught. It's so easy. He's not that big of a threat, guys. Come on. He's a loser. All right.
It's like, I am the psionic being of Professor Xavier and Magneto. Like, yeah, I'm going to choke you. How about that?
You. Yeah, read my mind. I'm going to choke you. That's right. Boom. Just to run through the rest of, before we cut to top 8, I'm just going to run through these really quick, and then you can run through yours really quick. Next up, I did go against another person from Wakefield, went ahead and went against Mike and his Teen Titans theme team. This, I was like, Teen Titans, easy. Teen Titans, die. That's what's going to happen. Because I was like, come on. I lost the map. He still put me on a map with plenty of blocking, so I'm like, this is fine. And Juggernaut, missed 3 attacks. Yeah, Juggernaut missing attacks really sucks. Juggernaut missed attacks. I put a lot of Perplex into attack and not defense, and I wasn't playing defensively. Normally, sometimes, whether or not I get it, it gets picked Perplex. I can put it into, twice into defense with Billy's Perplex. Give Juggernaut a nice 20, and it feels pretty all right. And man, I killed one Teen Titan, hurt another one, and then he flurry blades, rolled a 5 each time, and then Cyborg, and just killed Juggernaut in one turn. The amount of times Juggernaut died in a turn or two really hurt. Because he's that beefy 200 points of the build that really shouldn't be dying, but if they can make that many attacks on him, then it's yeah, dude, you're dead. So that's a little rough to take sometimes. But even after he killed Juggernaut, I managed to this is hilarious. I managed to kill 2 more of his figures using just Alex Wilder and a Shredder illusion. Yeah, 2 more 75-point top dial. I guess one wasn't top dial. One was on click 2. But yeah, it was pretty awesome. I was outwit, perplex attack, or if I had a prob, whatever. Normally he still gave me outwit though. It was boom, perplex attack, Shredder clone, throws the light object, sidestep. He still has 2 damage. He's got a 9 attack. The fact that I was able to kill 2 more of his 75-point figures after that had happened was just hilarious. Making the shape change rolls with both the Shredder illusion and Alex. It was pretty amazing. And then it came down to just Alex and Cyborg, and I'm there's probably no way I'm going to win. I am on my last click, though. I do got super sense of shape change, and I was honestly really curious to see if I could do it. So he got me, 298 to 225, but I was still really proud of the fact that my little peons were able to kill 2 more figures. I thought that was hilarious.
No, I've definitely had Alex, Alex in the 1v1 game. He's got stealth, he's got sidestep, and if you do get him to his last click, he's got 2 rollouts.
Yeah.
Plus, you're either giving him, 2 damage or outwit, or possibly both if you don't want to give him prob.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think I had him, I don't remember, I'm pretty sure he went against a Hulk one time. It was 140-point Hulk or something, and it was just this little 25-point Alex, and I just got my shape changes, got real hot. And so he'd come in to attack, and I'd just be nope. And be what do you want to give me? And he'd be perplex outwit. Be I'm going to outwit your impervious, pump up my damage to a 2. I need a 9 to hit, and then I'd hit it, and I'd be oh, we're just that much closer. So I do love Alex Wilder for that reason.
After all, Alex Wilder, it did nothing wrong. So that'd be my first loss of the day. Turning it back to a back-to-back loss, I went against Brian, and Brian takes a long time to take his turns. He still put me on a map with a ton of blocking. My very first opening move, I cracked his onslaught charge with a heavy object for 7, so dealt 5, which puts him on his last. Which put him on his last.
Yeah,
look.
that almost
one-shot him. And I was oh, easy. He killed the rest of my figures, but I'm that's okay. He's on his last click. All I got to do is kill Onslaught. Guess what I didn't do that entire game? And I honestly, halfway through, I was should I just kill his support? Should I just, let's see the map.
Putting him on double rollout is a bad idea?
It is a bad idea. But here's the thing, though. He missed all his rollouts. I just kept missing attacks. I was are you serious? I need a 4. Bad. A 4! I'm not asking for much, dice. Come on, guys. Yeah, I'm really missing my EarthX dice right now. I'm real sad. I'm come on, guys. Yeah, I asked for some big numbers there in the opening. I get that. That's cool. I only had a 13 attack on an 18. I needed a 5. I'm sorry that I asked for a 5 all that many years ago. But could you give a brother a 4? Could you please? Could you spare a 4? I never crit missed. But rolling 2 3s in a row, and that was all my turn was. Every single time it ever got past me, I'm Juggernaut moves these 3 squares, he breaks them, he gets a token off, he heals 1, and then Quake, and then I miss, awesome, your turn, and then no shade at Brian. His turns normally take a very long time. I even said to him in one match, I was I would really like to take 1 or 2 more turns. That would be awesome. And I felt bad for saying it, but he has a lot of moving parts on his team, and he's trying to use the best of them, and I totally get that. But his turn still took a very long time, it felt like. But that was another loss game where I scored, guess how many points? 10 points because he crit missed with his giant girl. Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah. So that was like 10 points to 90. Yeah, that sucked. That was like, dang, man. Now I'm wishing I really would have perplexed damage in that first attack and just hit onslaught for 8, and then this would not have even been a problem. But c'est la vie, it happens. My last game was against Jacob Marcus, good listener to the show. He's playing Justice League. I was like, wow, a Justice League theme team, a Rebirth. He's like, represent DC. I'm like, that's cool. That's awesome. One map, we go to the underground, and then it's like, it was kind of a struggle. There's like this Fast Forces Flash that moves one square every time I move. Like, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, that was just a really fun team. The Cyborg and Flash both worked together.
They'll give each other bonuses if they, like, attack first or whatever. Yeah.
It's really dope. He had the Elseworlds, like the old school Superman that just has leap climb, the whole leap over tall buildings in a single bound. When he can use Quake. Like, it was a really cool team. And then I was just like, all right, well, this is the first time I'll probably actually be able to do the thing I want to do with this team, and that's with Juggernaut, moves 3, whatever, Quakes, move 3, Quakes. And we just kept doing that. I destroyed about half the map on Amok Time before I finally won. There's a lot of rollouts. That Superman eventually gets Shape Change Super Senses. That Flash starts with Shape Change Super Senses. That Cyborg has Impervious, Top Dial. Like, there's a ton of rollouts. There was a lot of rollouts on that team, so it was a lot of fun. And that was my 2 wins, 2 losses, and a really rough start to the day in the top 19. Not top 19, but whatever. Swiss. So, Simeon, go ahead and finish out the rest of your rounds before we go cut to top 8.
All right. I want to jump back to round 1. So
you're not allowed to.
Well, you said something about crit miss, and it reminded me. So I put Eddie Guerrero on my team for the simple fact that I love, like, the dice manipulation thing. I love if someone rolls like a 7, but it's a 1 and a 6. You can be like, hey, re-roll that 6, and all of a sudden now it's like a 3 and a 1, and or something like that. And so that, like, my whole plan was like, I'm going to use theme teams. Like, I'll wait for them to make a big attack. I'm going to use my theme teams until I see a 1 in the roll, and then I'll make them re-roll the other number. And so, first attack that Tristan made, I think it was like a 6 and a 1. He's like, that'll hit. And I was like, I'm going to have you re-roll that 6. And so he re-rolls the 6, and he rolls a 1. So now it's a crit miss, but Onslaught has prob. So he's like, can I prob it, though? And I was like, of course. So he probs it, rolls both dice again, another crit miss. And so it was just so rough because popping Onslaught off of that top shape change invuln is pretty rough.
Yeah.
And then he just had reducers the rest of the team, like the rest of the game, or didn't have reducers the rest of the game. Match number 2, I believe, was against Kevin, and he was rocking a monster squad with Onslaught, Death, Sabretooth, the 75-point Sabretooth, and I think Dr. Frankenstein.
Yeah.
And I think he also had a WWE ring, because we had him, like, somewhat adjacent. That match was actually pretty rough from the get-go, just because he was able to hit like Prez Ricard and Oscar with some attacks early on. I did manage to get lucky and get an attack off on Onslaught, and then that was one of the matches where I double team submission held him with Eddie and Oscar. And having that Sabretooth with like a 12 attack, like, I feel like it's half his dial. He's got a 12 attack. Like, no matter what you hit him to, it's like still a 12 attack with flurry, huh? And just like, yep. I wasn't able to get him with a submission hold, but I was at like towards the end. But I ended up. That was one of the games where Shawn Michaels got fully charged, fully tuned up the band. I outwitted Death's invuln, and Shawn Michaels just came screeching across the ring, like to the corner post, and just kicked Death in the head and knocked him out. That was a pretty sweet. I didn't know how many clicks long he was, But yeah. Oh, that's another thing. I didn't once check dials this entire event, just out of protest.
That's exactly how I did it too. I didn't want to look at anyone's card. Most people that I played against, I'm like, look, dude, I'm not gonna look at your card. And he's like, yeah, I really don't want to look at yours either. Because we both agreed. We like, I just don't want to do it. It feels like it kind of ruins the what if. Because also we're not new players, and I understand that whole new player thing. Not to get on a tangent for cards, Lord knows we talked about it enough. So I'm just gonna end it there before I start on something.
Yeah, I played casual enough where I've been seeing a lot of these like characters in casual play. So like I played enough sealed where all the like common and uncommon Avengers I've probably played with in one way or another. So I know like Medusa's 5 clicks long, she's also 50 points, so that's a pretty good indicator. So like I just don't need to check the card for dial length on those. But
yeah,
to get back on topic, my third match was against an Avengers team. I don't remember the name of the guy running it. This was my first time playing against him, but he definitely knew what he was doing. So he must be practicing.
Did he win map?
Yes.
What map did he put you on?
I'm pretty sure he put me on Underground.
Oh, okay. If it was like the Orville map, then I would have said it was probably Doug, but I don't know. Doug normally puts people on the Orville, so go ahead, keep going.
I don't know. Yeah. But he was running a fairly standard Avengers build, which at this point for Pauper is Voyager, Medusa, Crystal, Hulk, AIM guys, maybe a giant girl or two, stuff like that. He put me on Underground, which is like one of the reasons I'll play the ring as often as I can in competitive, because if I lose map and they put me on a terrible like blocking map, then I can just at least open up like a little section of it for myself. So his first turn, he moved to like a corner away from my ring, which was like, I was like, okay, like, I get it, but because with Voyager, really like the first turn is like, I'm going to be able to get to you as long as you can't get to me first, because she can phase 14 or 11 when she carries. So he moved up. I moved into the ring, took like my standard defensive position with Prez Ricard with his 18 defend, perplexing up Asuka's defense, so she's a 19 next to him. Shawn Michaels is a 20 for close next to him. Eddie's an 18, and Stone Cold's an 18. And Eddie was always up front, so he could he could prob like the first attack. He moved up with, let's see, I think it was, he carried a red AIM, Medusa, and Crystal. Crystal, I want to say biffed her Quake, and so I was just like, all right, cool, like one attack done. Medusa having an 11 attack on that little pog is scary. An 11 for 3, and if you put the red agent next to it, then it's an 11 for 4. Yeah, that thing, because I mean, an 18, they only need a 7. That's an average roll. So I think he killed Prez Ricard in that first attack with the hair. And then he threw Hulk out there, and Hulk quaked and hit some stuff. And I wasn't feeling super good. He also had the uncommon Iron Man, the one that's like a hologram. That was also on his team.
Oh, yeah.
So I wasn't feeling great. Like I had taken some pretty decent hits that turn, and I think Hulk's Quake knocked most of my team off of first click, so they were no longer immune to range. So that was bad. I can't really, it's kind of foggy. I think I outwitted Hulk. I had Asuka run and hit him, because one of the other cool things about Asuka is every time she KOs somebody, she gets to bump one of her stats up by 1. And once she's got all 4 combat values on the dial bumped up by 1, she heals by 2. And so I'd always try and get at least her defense up by 1 as soon as I could. And so she charged and hit the Hulk with Exploit for 2. That kills Hulk. He's not a long dial. And then really it like started going heavily in his favor. Like I was kind of like, I lost my perplexes. Eddie was on outwit instead of prob. and my saving grace was Stone Cold had like a 10 for 3, and I decided to crack open a 6-pack of stunners for the first time. Hadn't happened, like, my first game, he was the only figure that died. That was the only one that Tristan KO'd. My second game, he didn't die, but he got on like a pretty worthless kind of combat click. Like, he was like a 10 for 2, and I was just like, okay. So this game, he was a 10 for 3, and I managed to hit my first attack, and he throws a Theme Team Prob at me, and I'm like, oh no, and I miss, and I'm like, all right, re-roll with the ring, because I'm in the ring, and I miss, and I'm sitting there and I'm debating, and I'm like, I've got to hit a 17, and there's no guarantee that I'm going to even like do anything if I like move through, because I'm pretty sure I'm just hitting a hair at this point. And I was like, no, I'm not even guaranteed to hit like the next person that I actually want to hit, but I throw it out there. I double token Asuka just so that I can Theme Team Prob it. He hits the 7. I move my 2 squares. He had pushed Crystal, so he had pushed her to the Perplex Click, so I move 2 squares, I hit Crystal, knock her out, move like 1 square, and I hit Medusa with double 5s, so it's knockback, and I can choose to like send her out of the ring into a wall. And I was like, oh heck yeah, I'm gonna do that. That'll do 4 damage. And he's like, do you mind if I like Theme Prob it? And I was like, no, go ahead. And then I crit hit. The only thing that could have KO'd Medusa was a crit hit in that moment. So that was like the turning point. Was like when I literally KO'd I think 3 of his figures, and then I hit Voyager. I didn't KO Voyager, but I hit her for 3. And then it was just Voyager, White Aim Agent, and Iron Man. I hit Iron Man with Sweet Chin Music, I think. And then, yeah, I sent Shawn Michaels out there because he had Empower. And then Eddie did like a flying leap and took out the White Aim Agent. So it all came together towards the end. That was the 3rd match. The 4th match, I think I went back to another Onslaught team. And I can't remember, let's see, who was running the 4th one.
I want to say Isaac had an Onslaught on his team. Did you play against him, maybe?
I didn't play against Isaac all day.
Okay.
No, it was Tristan from South Dakota.
Okay. Right.
Yeah, I don't... So he was also running kind of like a wonky Onslaught team with a Dr. Frankenstein and some other stuff. And every time he'd make an attack, I'd have him re-roll it once because of the ring, and it would just like miss like horribly, and he'd roll like a 3, and he'd prob it, and he'd roll like another 3, and so dice were just like completely against him that entire game, and so that one was just like a very one-sided. I took out like half his build with submission hold, and then like the WWE guys just cleaned up the rest kind of game. So that one was fun, but I can't imagine that it was super fun for him because he just missed like every single attack. And that was it. Cut to top 8. Like I said, a lot of the Onslaughts bled together. There's just, you see like the big red beetle looking thing, and that's pretty much like all I remember from the build because that was like the main threat.
Sure, that's fair. Top 8. First game in top 8, I had to go against this complete just jerk. He was less than human, I would say. Subpar.
Lucas wasn't playing.
Jeez. I took a sip of water.
No, but before we go too far, I do want to say Lucas, super fan Lucas Tom Van Hollen was hosting the event, and he did a wonderful job. He had a pretty amazing raffle that he did. He didn't have to do that. That was like his own personal stuff. He's great job boosting the community, and always a very tactful and very good at judging. Just like
absolutely. He was fantastic.
So fantastic job there.
So
Lucas.
Just to go over that raffle really quick before we jump into top 8. It was a $10 raffle. The biggest prize was a Ultra Chase Thanos. And there's like pretty much you guaranteed a prize even if you entered. So like he was going off, he was listing names. And you know me. Secretly, kind of want to win this. I'm like, I'm just getting $10, whatever. So I'm like, haven't heard my name yet. 2 people left. I'm like, all right. Boom, doesn't say my name, and I'm like, yeah. So then I did win an Ultra Chase Thanos that day, which is pretty solid. I ain't gonna lie, I was pretty happy.
And I told you when we broke for lunch that I was willing to concede the top 8 match if you gave me that.
Yeah, you did. Oh yeah. Because we knew what top.
You didn't take me up.
Gonna be. No, I did not. Maybe I should have. Because the top 8 match, the only top 8 match I went in was me against Simeon. Spoiler alert: I did not win that game. I played it pretty poorly. I would honestly say, looking back, probably shouldn't have tried to go for this big old juggernaut smack right away and leave myself adjacent to not only Asuka, she's the only person who's necessary to be adjacent to, but like just in the ring with a bunch of full health WWE superstars. That was a little rough. Coming back from that, there was no coming back from that. That match was just really bad, really bad. For you can tell my inexperience with this team, and actually my inexperience with Heroclix, to be honest with you, because in the first video Devin posted, Happy Little Heroclix posted on YouTube, you can hear just how loud I am, and to a lesser extent Simeon is in the background, because I'm not taking it seriously at all. Because there's like 5 minutes of me playing that game where I'm like, yeah, maybe. And then it's like the rest of it, you can already just tell that I've already given up. And I'm just like, yeah, I just want to joke around. Just want to have a good time. So there's some pretty good, even though that video is not at all about me or Simeon, you can hear a lot of our game and a lot of our like riffing on each other or just like random things in general, which is pretty fun. Which I thought was pretty fun.
I encourage everyone to get onto Happy Little Heroclix and just listen to the background noise.
Yeah.
For that first,
it was awesome.
The top 8.
There's some good points in there. If you want to hear my rendition of Johnny Cash's "Hurt," if you want to hear us complain more about cards,
there's also a new song that I'm working on. That's I got a concussion to make. That's how it went. Yeah. I got a concussion to make.
Got a concussion.
I think that's towards the end.
Yeah. No, that was like a lot of fun. That was really good. My biggest mistake in that game, before I jump off this, is Juggernaut has giant reach. You don't have to put him adjacent to people. What am I doing?
Oh yeah.
What in the world?
Yeah, I would have only had, I think, like 2 or 3 attacks to make against you had you left him away. But yeah, one of the things I love about WWE figures is they've got these signature moves, but you can only pull them off if they've got 1 action token. Like, they have to have an action token to pull off their signature move. But if you have a theme team, you can kind of control, like, I don't have, like, Shawn Michaels, I've been tuning up the band. You can just theme team, like, your own attack. Like, Shawn Michaels can theme team Eddie's attack. Now he's got an action token, and with the new theme team, like, rules, he can make another action that turn. So I can go from 0 actions to Shawn Michaels like hitting Sweet Chin Music in the same turn.
Right.
Or Eddie hitting the 3 Amigos, or, So yeah, had you not gone adjacent, I only probably would have got like 2 attacks that turn, because I don't have a lot of move and attack on my team. I kind of rely on people sticking around. But
so yeah, right on. That thus ends my top 8 story. Simeon won. So we can go ahead and round out the rest of the episode with Simeon's games.
So top 8 was Calder. Top 4 was Zach. Also running an Avengers bomb team. Just kind of like a Voyager, drops off these free attackers. Lots of Perplex. There's also a Hulk that can just wreck you. And then some giant girls for retaliation. This game was super close. This was, I think, points-wise, this was the closest game. Like, there's games where it was close because, like, kind of the momentum shifted, and I ended up, like, picking up the win because, like, the momentum shifted in my favor. But this was the closest game points-wise by far. So he moved up with a Mudman and a Giant Girl. And I had, like, my grand interest. First, he put me on King's Tomb, which, oh man, thank you, ROC, for King's Tomb. I love playing on it. It's, super thematic and interesting, but in competition, if you're not prepared for it, if you're running, like, WWE figures, good golly, I do not enjoy that. So I did have a place to put my ring. I didn't once get in my ring because it was so far out of the way that it wasn't happening. Turn 1, he moved up to a spot that was close to the ring, but I wouldn't be able to, I just didn't have the reach to get to him. And so if I did go in the ring, he would have just been, right on me. And he didn't have a lot of range attack, so the ring really wouldn't have helped me a whole lot defensively. But I moved up, I threw Asuka out there and hit his giant girl, just because I wanted that +1 defense right off the bat. I think he knew Asuka's dial. I think he knew that he needed to hit her for 4 because he just bumped his Hulk to a 13 and single target quaked her for 4, and that was the end of Asuka, which, personally, it hurt me the most. I still had the majority of my team. I only lost 40 points, but Asuka was really that was the heart of the team right there, and I wasn't ready for that. But then I just got really hurt because his team was super mobile, so Voyager kept bopping in and out, carrying people in and out. It's kind of clustered, so I didn't have it's all indoor, so I didn't have a lot of line of fires to get my theme team probs off. And so it was kind of just like a battle, but this is the match where I really started looking at the WWE pack real close, because man, some of those powers are crazy useful. Flying Leap is just a static +1 to attack. You also get a +1 damage if you start next to 2 ropes, but just having a 12 attack top dial with somebody just because they have a certain power is crazy. It also gives you hindering and ignores characters. So not having to break away and just being able to pop to the back line and hit somebody, that was huge. That helped me open up some avenues of movement and stuff, getting people around. I also just used it just to get away from a Mudman at one point. I was I'm gonna flying leap and not make an attack, and I just flying leaped away from the Mudman.
I really don't want to be violent. I just really don't want to be next to you.
Yeah, I'm just diving out of the ring at nothing. Yeah. Here's a 5-star frog splash onto some stairs, so I can nimble away from you. Reversal was also pretty big in this game, getting some free attacks off, and the game ended out where I managed to knock out Crystal, Hulk, and then I think the red AIM agent and the 2 giant girls, which netted me a cool 150, and he killed Asuka for 40 and HBK for 75. So it was real close, down to the wire. But I ended up winning by about 15 points. And then that was top 4. Yeah. So then we just went right into the finals, right? That's how it works.
Yeah. That's normally how the cuts work, yeah.
So if you watch Devin's videos, the top 4 video will be Isaac versus Brian. So that'll be Onslaught versus Onslaught. And then Brian, spoiler alert for Devin's video, Brian won the game. So the final round came down to me versus Brian. Calder already kind of said what he was running. It was Fabian Cortez, which is a stat boost kind of dude. A Big Tony, and Alex Wilder, Onslaught, and then the main force, or the main set, Stone Cold, who has full move charge, which is crazy, because if you combine that with Grand Entrance, he gets halfway across the map turn 1. Too bad for him, he crit missed with that attack, putting his Stone Cold on click 2, which meant I could outwit and flurry because he was adjacent to me. And so Stone Cold, I had 80 points right off the bat. It was just a rough like I had to throw all my attacks into it, but it didn't really matter because, I mean, I got one of his main attackers, and then it was just me and Onslaught. After that, after his crit miss, I don't think he rolled below like a 10 for the rest of the game. It was rough. My rolls went real sour. I had to burn like a lot of theme team probs and stuff. At one point, I had Onslaught off of Invuln, and I had Asuka next to him, and Onslaught was double tokened, and I was like, all right, he's either got to push or he's got to leave him there, and then I got to start submission holding him. This is how I've killed like 3 of the Onslaughts I faced was with submission hold. And Asuka's on click 1. I'm looking around. Onslaught's got 3 damage. Like, he's got perplex, but like, you know, everyone's got like 3 or less damage. And so I'm feeling fairly confident. I'm like, he'll probably go the safe route and just try and hit her. And if he hits her for 3, she's not going to die, and I can still submission hold. So he has Fabian Cortez, who's got 3 damage, take a shot. And I'm like, great. I'll take 3. It'll give me 18 combat reflexes. I'll hit Onslaught with submission hold. I'll start getting those Asuka locks on it. This game's solid. He crit hits, which was like the hardest crit hit I've seen, because I start looking around and I'm like, there's nothing I can, like, she's not in the ring, so I can't have the ring re-roll it. Eddie's on the wrong side of her, so he can't see it. She's got 2 action tokens, so she can't theme it. So I'm just, you know, I can't even super senses. I was just like, yeah, she's dead. All right. So I just like moved her off like the table, and I was just like, man, that's, I mean, I'm still up by 40 points, but now Onslaught, I don't have a way to deal with him that doesn't involve him rolling out. And I just don't, you know, I hate relying on my opponent's dice not working. So the game kept going kind of that way. He was hitting some mind controls, and he knocked my Stone Cold to like a lower click. So he was getting some stuff. Onslaught was like, you know, punching some stuff. He was like pushing him a little bit. And the game was, I knew the time was coming like pretty close, because it just felt like pretty late in the day. And I could feel like the sun had been down for like an hour at this point. And
jeez. My knee
so I'm trying to, like,
started to stiffen up.
Yeah.
Must be getting cold outside.
My shoulder did that clicky thing that it only does after like 8 o'clock, and I was like, oh no. Werewolves of London. I don't know. I don't want to spoil the ending, because
it's so cool though, man.
The ending to this match is probably one of my top 10. It's definitely my top like 2 tournament endings ever. But it's probably one of my, like, the top 2 that I've ever played in. It's probably the top 5 I've ever seen with like my own eyes, because it came down to a Super Sense roll. But it will be up on the Happy Little Heroclix page, and I don't want to spoil it anymore. Just go to the Happy Little Heroclix page. If you don't want to watch the full like 50-minute video, just skip to the last like 5 minutes, and you'll see. Well, yeah, skip to the last 5 minutes. You'll see Brian ending his turn, and that's all you need to see. It's a great finish to a great tournament, and everyone in the shop was like sitting around and like, yeah, I'm gonna cut myself off because I want to give it away. Yeah, you gotta
cut it off because it's cool. I want to say it because I think it's freaking amazing. So go check out that video, just like Simeon said. It's like the last 5 minutes. Watch all the videos. Happy Little Heroclix. Devin makes some pretty amazing content. He could also, shout us out sometimes. But that's cool. It's like whatever. Moving on, before we start community, I'm going to go ahead and do the Patreon rank up since it is the second episode this month. It's super quick and it's super easy. Jedi Legend went from Citizen to Vigilante. Thank you so much, Jedi Legend, for always giving us tip of the week and for your support of the podcast. If you want to jump in on the Patreon, you want to grow your heroic rank, you want to win all these cool prizes that we raffle off each month, which, by the way, has been pretty good. I don't think we've had a ton of doubled up winners, so I think there's some good chances there for you guys. Haven't announced November's yet. We're going to figure it out sometime this week. But absolutely join us on the Patreon if you want to support us because you enjoy what we do. That would be fantastic. Moving on to community.
There are dozens of us. Dozens!
This Community Tuesday's question, we asked you, the listener at home, what would you play for Pauper States? First round of states is over, so a lot of you probably have already played in it, but the second round is still this weekend. So, Simeon, go ahead and hit us. We're probably going to do about 5 answers, guys. We can keep this episode a little short since we have a lot of questions to get to. So, Simeon, go ahead and hit us with the first one on Facebook.
Yeah. So, on Facebook, first one, Nate White says, Starfleet, baby. Get a little Trek action.
What a cool guy. On the Twitter, Vigilante Chris Kurtz said Nimrod and Sentinels. It's honestly the only faction in the animated series that I want to play.
Yeah, that's what Devin played. In one game, he got 6 Sentinels out, so that was kind of cool. Todd Butcher says Batman Beyond with a Lieutenant Barbara Gordon and build out from there.
Okay. Right.
So it's probably some Gotham City or future theme team, but I'd suggest Gotham City. There's some solid Batman ally kind of stuff out there, and then you get those sweet theme team props.
Ooh. Superhero Demon Hunter said I would play them sweet WWE figures.
Can't go wrong with that.
No, absolutely not.
Steven Bombera says Starfleet.
I want to say Vigilante, Little Plastic Superhero, said 30 Friends of Humanity. Now, sadly, Pauper is Highlander, but still, 30 Friends of Humanity sounds pretty good. But to which I say, why not 60?
There you go.
All right.
Vigilante Jeff Polyer says commons and uncommons.
Wow, you think it's funny, huh? Think you're real funny?
Do you get it?
Yeah, no, I get it. I understand.
Because that's the format.
Because that's what Pauper means, is playing commons and uncommons. That's funny. That's hilarious.
That is.
I almost forgot to laugh.
Okay.
Citizen Tippy Toes Nuts. Nope, that's his name. My modern Alpha Flight team of Sasquatch and ... Oh yeah, wait a second. There's no one else. Poor Sasquatch.
Yeah,
by himself.
No, that's not true, though. There is an Alpha Flight from AI. It's her, I think.
Oh, is it? Oh, then never mind. So then you're
never read it in the comics, but yeah. So you could have, with Sasquatch and her, I think you could make like a 290-point team or something like that.
Oh,
it would be...
See, there's a team. There's Alpha
It would
Flight.
be a team.
Don't be so down.
Correct. Chris Rizzi says... X-Men Fast Forces, trade out the Beast for number 2 X-Men Animated Series Beast and add a 15-point trainee or student. I actually really thought about doing the X-Men Fast Forces going into the event. I was like, what if I practiced them a little bit, and I was like, what if I go up against like no Colossals? So like the Avengers teams. I was like, what if I go up against like something like that? And they just like fall apart because they don't get all their cool bonuses. But with the amount of onslaughts that I saw, I would have had shape change, super senses. I wouldn't have had the mystics or the toughness because I wasn't going to play those two. But I would have had shape change, super senses, prob for any attack targeting me from Colossals or Giants, and that would have been pretty cool. So I like those guys.
Right on. And the last one I'm going to go ahead and read on the Twitter is Citizen Mr. Clickslick said, State Secret. Totally wouldn't put that info out in a video. Yeah, I see what you did there, Jamie. I see what you did there.
Yeah. And last but not least on Facebook, Emily Michelle says, Shredder. Which turns out we've got some breaking information here, Calder. This was a lie. Emily actually played the Avengers. Yes, it's true. I listened to Married with Clicks later tonight, and it turns out she got second place with an Avengers build.
But Simeon,
I actually did.
Shredder was never part of the Avengers.
Wasn't he?
Not that
everyone's been part of an Avenger at this point.
That's kind of true. You're not wrong.
I actually really did try building with the Shredder too.
I like him.
He's so good as
wanted to build a
as like an ID caller.
Yeah.
As like someone who just can't be targeted and calls in IDs, he's great. The problem with Pauper is there's not a ton of IDs, so you need like a lot of stat boosts if you want like Jubilee to be good, or like Lockheed to actually do stuff. You need like some stat boosts. But yeah, I did try building with Shredder. I just gave up because
you don't have the indomitable will to actually try to play Shredder. I mean, to be fair, I gave up trying to play Shredder too. He was like number one spot on my team before I just like two days before I was like, I'll just play Juggernaut, whatever. All right on. We have a couple of community questions. Before I get into that, I want to shout out some people in the community that went ahead and sent us some really cool messages over the past week. Dan Davis sent me his like Roblox house, and then it said howdy howdy on it, which is really cool. I really do. I don't know if it's actually his robot house, but it's his house. And it's a screenshot that says howdy howdy. And if you know, Chris would always somehow bring in Roblox like as a joke. Where it's like, you want to fight? Huh? You want to fight? Yeah, fight me. 1v1 me on Roblox, bro. Like, I don't know why he like clung to that. I think it's hilarious. So I really love seeing that crossover. So I think that's really awesome. And then Larry Slade, I want to say, commented on one of our videos. He was brand new. So he's going to listen to this. He's like, they messed up my name. But I just wrote it so poorly on my sheet. But he commented on the post for the last episode. And he just went in and said, like, he really enjoys the podcast. He's new to the game, and he's been listening to it for a few weeks. And I'm really happy, because it feels like, I just do the podcast every single week, and I sometimes don't think about people are finding this and constantly, like, getting good information from that. So I absolutely love that, and I love to hear that kind of feedback. And then just going ahead and moving on to the community. I just want to say I love you guys, seriously. Like, I love everybody that listens. The community is so amazing. So thank you guys so much for being a part of that. It's awesome. We're going to go ahead and do a Malcolm Rush question block.
That's in Japan!
Japan? No. I can't go to Japan.
We're talking about the WWE Universe in some of these wrestling-related questions. There's 11 questions, so let's get right into it. Number 1, a while back, I asked you to rank all the powers and abilities. Where would you put the new WWE powers and abilities in that ranking? So I never really totally wrote out all the powers and abilities. I think we totally didn't follow that one exactly to its road. So instead, I just ranked the WWE powers, which ones I thought were the coolest or liked the most. So, Simeon, I don't know how you answered this. Maybe you answered it the same way. Maybe you answered it in a different way. But you can go ahead and go first.
Yeah, so I kind of just put like the ones that stuck out to me after like playing with them. Because when I first like just looked at the powers, I was like, man, Slingshot's cool. You can like control which way they go. Like Stun's kind of cool. Slam's kind of neat. Turns out I like the other ones way more. So I think Nimble is crazy cool. That is +2 breakaway, and you get to move 1 square for free. You ignore hindering. So those are like +2 breakaway and ignore hindering are just like standard. So you can just like Eddie Guerrero or Shawn Michaels, I guess, would be a better choice since he's got it top dial. He can just like full on sprint through bushes because he's got Nimble. Flying Leap is another one. I don't know how I didn't read Flying Leap more. I think it looked like Leap Climb, and I was just like, must be garbage. And so I just passed it on. But Flying Leap, the power, ignore characters and hindering for movement. And then you move up to 3 squares, make a close attack, modifying attack +1, period. So all of that happens just for giving them a power action. And then you get an extra little caveat. If you're next to 2+ ropes, you also get a +1 damage. So on a lot of these guys who've got Flying Leap top dial, They've got like 12s for 4, like on their own, so that's super solid. Of course, like lightning speed is pretty decent, but I think my overall favorite has to be submission hold. I never realized having a standard power that can immobilize somebody. Well, technically immobilize 2 people, but immobilize any opponent of your choosing is pretty crazy.
Yeah, man, I'd say that sucks. Anyways, still, so I don't want to get down. I'm super proud of what happened, but I'm gonna be a little salty. Ain't gonna lie. I went ahead. I think we ended up kind of in the same spot. I'll just name them off. I just ranked them from best to worst. I said submission hold, leap climb, lightning speed, reversal, nimble, stun, slam, and slingshot. That was my WWE power ranking. You can hate it, you can love it. That's cool. Number 2, which is better, the WWE wrestling ring or the boxing ring, and why?
So for this one, I really, they both like have a different place. I love the boxing ring because its effect is, I want to say, more defensive. Really, I like both of them because I like the effect of where it's just like this ring just falls out of the sky and explodes any blocking terrain that it lands on. That's like my favorite part of course. But I like WWE because if you're not even playing any WWE figures, you get the multiverse rules, so you get access to the WWE pack. So Nimrod can use the boxing ring and he can have submission hold. So it can be Nimrod putting Onslaught in like a choke hold if he wants, or he can pick like reversal. But the boxing ring is cool because it's got that universal effect, but it also gives the effect to your opponent. Whereas the wrestling ring, you get that it's like a pseudo prob. It just says reroll. It doesn't actually say prob, and you don't have to be within any range or line of fire of the person targeting you. So Onslaught would be like, I've got my 9 range and I'm behind the scenes. I'm going to mind control you, and I could still re-roll that because it just says if you're targeted by a ranged attack, re-roll it. So I really do like the wrestling ring for that aspect of it.
Right on. I just kind of said the boxing ring is better just because I'm still on the whole, the more protection, the whole -2 attack, shooting inside, shooting outside the ring, I think is really huge. But obviously you made some amazing points with the wrestling ring. It really depends on what you want. Like, if you don't need the boxing ring because you're not going to be moving up and be like, yeah, I'm totally whatever. Like, if you already have stealth or something or whatever you have protecting you from range, then if you don't need it, then why not? If you have pick a power on your team, then absolutely use the wrestling ring to give you access to multiverse rules and the WWE powers. So I think they do both have their place, but I still think I'm biased towards the boxing ring. Number 3, best, worst, and favorite WWE Heroclix, and why? Simeon.
So, I don't really think there's like the worst ones, but
oh, there definitely are. Don't lie.
there's some bad ones. There's some that could just be better. So best, I think, is Asuka. For 40 points, you start off with that submission hold, and she's got like the most, whether it's submission or poison, point for point, she's got the most bonkers free damage in the game, like, period. Maybe Surtur with his 1 penetrating, but no, like, Asuka's like, she's able to deal 3 penetrating, or not 3 penetrating. Jeez, that'd be dumb. She's able to deal 3 damage if she's activated, twice, and then she can just keep doing that every turn for the rest of the game. So if you've got something with a long dial and they're like, man, I really need to clear this turn, you're like, cool, take 3. And then next turn it's like, cool, take another 3, because they can't move away. So I really think she's got to be the best for points. There's definitely other options, like Undertaker's really cool. Worst, I'm going to have to give it to like AJ Styles. He just doesn't do anything for me. He's one of the few where I was like, I don't mind AJ Styles. He's got some cool moves and stuff. He's kind of like a high flyer and stuff like that. But his HeroClix is just so bland compared to others. man, he's just got like nothing going. Same with like the Finn Balor that's not in the starter set.
I was about to say, the main set, Finn Balor is really bland.
Also so like,
very bland.
Yeah, it's like, man, like someone just straight up did not, either they just didn't know who he was or they just didn't like him.
This is NXT Finn Balor. But even then, like NXT Finn Balor should honestly be better, but whatever.
And then my favorite by far is Eddie.
Oh, nice.
The ability to re-roll the one die, the mid-dial lasso from El Paso, the stop click that he heals off of. So you've got to, you've got to at least triple tap him, because you hit him, he heals off of it, you hit him, he hits it, and then you got to hit him again. So yeah, you've got to at least triple tap him, and that's pretty hard to do. He's got a decent long dial, and he's got solid, I mean, his whole dial's super solid.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about throwing the Blood Axe on him and never staying on that stop click with my 3 amigos.
Heck yeah, man. Absolutely. Ooh, that would be pretty awesome, actually. 3 amigos, the Blood Axe is pretty gnarly. All right, I'd say best is going to be Shawn Michaels. I love stat modifiers. I just freaking love getting my stats buffed to high heavens, so I think Shawn Michaels is awesome. The worst is clearly, I mean, how could it not be, Ronda Rousey. She is just awful in every single way, shape, and form. And then my personal favorite is Macho Man Randy Savage, because I get to do like the voice and stuff, no matter how bad it is. Snapping to Slim Jim. Like, it's fun. Like, just Macho Man is such one of the better characters in WWE. He's just so much fun to do. Bonesaw is ready, you know. So, and besides that, he's also really good. So
Calder with your hot dog and man.
Ooh. But no,
you coming around grandstanding hot dog, and you called me a brother, but you're talking behind my back. He always sounded like he was about to burst something.
Yeah, dude, he sounds like he's gonna pop a vessel. Like, he's like, dude, you're all right, man. You okay?
I think that's what he was going for.
Maybe. Number 4, which WWE Heroclix did WizKids get right or miss the boat, and why? So give me your one that they got right.
The ones that they got right, Stone Cold, the starter, the crack open a 6-pack. Oh, man. That's like my favorite. My favorite, like, garbage wrestling to watch is just Stone Cold hitting everyone in the ring with a stunner. And, like, for no reason, just, like, because. He's just clearing, like, an entire ring out. Then his, like, tag team partner would come in to give him, like, a high five, and he would, like, hit them with the stunner, too. And, like, you're like, oh, my God! Like, you know, because Jerry the King Lawler had a high-pitched voice.
Yeah.
Still does. He's still doing it. Another one they got right was the Undertaker with his stop click that like kind of knocks everybody back. That's super cool. How he can pop Hell's Gate like pretty much anywhere, because he always would. Someone would like bend down to like pin him, and all of a sudden they're in Hell's Gate, which is like he just puts his like knee in their throat, so it's like super easy submission hold to like do. But that's another one that like I thought they got really good. And then Eddie, of course, again, I think they got Eddie right. I don't know if I would have given him a stop click, but literally every other part, like the light cheat steal, the outwit, it just all fits him really, really well.
Right on. And I'm going to say I kept this pretty simple. I think they did Andre the Giant really well. I think he's really cool. Andre the Giant's not really a super mobile guy, so he doesn't have a lot of movement attack, which is like fitting, but he's a huge dude, so he's got high defense, good reducers, and a deep dial. I think it's really simple. I love the big boot, and I just think Andre's a really fitting version. So which figure do you think they missed the boat on, Simeon?
One that I think is maybe controversial that they missed the boat on, I'm going to say Mankind. I like that we got a Mankind. I'm just a little mad that we got all 4 of Mick Foley's personas in one. I feel like we kind of got cheated. Like we had 2 Rocks, we have 2 Triple H's. You know, we got 2 AJ style. Did we get 2 AJs?
Yes, we did.
We got 2 AJs and 2 Finns, and we got one Mankind, and that one Mankind has traits for himself, for Dude Love, and for Cactus Jack. And I'm just like, come on, man, like. He's not Mankind enough because you like tried to make him a mashup of like his other personas, and I really do like Cactus Jack. I figured that Like they could have had like a whole figure with specials for just Cactus Jack. Dude Love, maybe not at all. I don't care. But at least Mankind and Cactus Jack, bang bang. That was my favorite. So I feel like they missed that one. Also, if Undertaker has a stop click and Eddie has a stop click, Mankind, definitely. Of all people, like he should have had a dial like the convention Doomsday, where like maybe not as long, but where like every click was a stop click. It was like invuln stop click. It was like, oh, you hit me with thumbtacks, great. Oh, you threw me off a cage, I'm gonna climb back up it with a dislocated shoulder. Oh, you threw me through it, I'm gonna still wrestle you with this tooth sticking out of the top of my face because like I'm a crazy human.
Guy's insane. Guy's tough beyond belief. I would say the figure they got wrong the most was definitely Triple H. He needs totally different set of powers. He needs powers that aren't even in the WWE. He needs stealth. He needs plasticity so he can run away easier. I suppose it's just nimble. He needs telekinesis, but only to place figures so he can move people in his way. He needs mastermind. Like, Triple H just needs to be a complete coward. And I hope you're listening to this. Like, yeah. Hunter Hearst Helmsley, I hope you're listening to this.
Yes,
Come
your
on.
real name, Hunter Hearst Helmsley.
Yes, absolutely. Your real name. Don't at me.
Yeah. They didn't give us Evolution Triple H is like what you're thinking of.
Yeah, that's what I would have loved.
Would you even say that we got like DX Triple H? Like, not really.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so at all. I think Triple H has just done pretty poorly. Overall, pretty poor. Number 5, which WWE powers and abilities do you want WizKids to make, and what color would you use in symbol? Speed, attack, defense, damage. How would the powers work? I just did one power. I wasn't going to go crazy into it. But did you have a power or like some kind of ability or move that a lot of WWE people use, wrestling move, that WizKids could incorporate in the future? Ooh.
So not really like a move or anything. So no. I said they don't need new ones. I think they did a great job covering the basics. But I did put that if they're going to do something, give us like a damage power that has to do with like cutting a promo or like shooting an angle. Or, I mean, they could do this with like a trait too. But kind of like Shredder Clone's trait, the Twisted Duel, where you'd call out like one other like figure. You'd like be like, it's you and me, SummerSlam, see you there, like, that kind of thing, where you'd like only those two characters could attack each other, or something. I don't know, something like that.
Yeah, that'd be cool. They should bring back Nemesis and have colored Oreo dials. Ooh, or whatever.
Yeah, that's great age.
Arch-enemies. Yeah, it should definitely be brought back with Oreo dials. I did, because I think, like, I was looking at a lot of moves, and I just straight up was like, okay, I'm not going to quit looking at single wrestlers. Let's just look at generic wrestling moves. And I'm like, but at the end of the day, I'm like, that's a slam. Or, like, that could fit as well as basically a stunner, Like, I just kept finding all these things like that's just jumping off something, so it's a flying leap. It's fairly simple. I think they standardized all these powers enough to work for a variety of different moves. I really don't think they need new ones. I decided on Rope Walk, maybe it would redo plasticity, and it would basically let them move through kind of in a way on top of ropes, so like hindering, blocking, outdoor blocking, and then jump off them. But should basically would just be a free move, and then you could walk over ropes, like 4 squares of ropes or something like that. That was all I could try to come up with, because like you kind of like when you see someone actually like walk on the ropes, it's really kind of cool and kind of neat. So I was thinking that would just give more mobility. Lord knows WWE figures really don't kind of need more mobility, to be honest with you.
Undertaker's going old school.
So yeah, like I think that'd be kind of neat. Number 6, which WWE characters do you want in the next set, and what types of powers and abilities would they have? Simeon, name some cool cats you want in the next set.
Speaking of cats, I want Jake the Snake. That's an animal. Fight me.
It's such a loose connection, though.
What I really want is I want Jake the Snake to be the first WWE character with a bystander, and he'll just drop Damien out. Yeah. I think that makes a ton of sense, like the most sense that a bystander could make, and I mean maybe Hornswoggle could be a bystander, but I think I think Damien would make the most sense as a bystander in all of WWE. Powers that I secretly want him to have, I just want him to have the sneak attack trait, where you can like phase 3 and then make a close attack, just because, you know.
Snakes.
Yeah.
Sneak attacks.
Serpent Society.
That's pretty funny. That would be quite clever if they gave him that. I would dig that.
And then Ultimate Warrior is another one I mostly want for the sculpt. Yeah. Not like a terrible wrestler, but he was just like a crazy looking dude, and he was like always like super high intensity before everyone was like that kind of like high intensity for a while. Some newer people, Rey Mysterio, of course, give him like some high flying stuff. I don't know, I can't imagine how you would do 619 without incorporating ropes, but if you restricted it with ropes, then it would kind of like ruin it. Which is hilarious because like you can fly and leap without being in a ring or without like needing ropes near you or anything. And it's like, yeah, I just frog splashed you from like a square away. Like I just like, you know, jumped real high and frog splashed you. Like remember when Eddie did that? Like the first move that he pulled out, and like that match was just the frog split. No. But yeah, Rey Mysterio's a big one that I want. I really want them to do like a tag team, just like a ton of the old tag team stuff. So like Edge and Christian, the Dudleys, the Hardys, the Road Warriors. I mean, there's just like an endless list of great tag team guys. And if they could find a way to incorporate them more than like +1 attack if next to Jeff Hardy, you know, stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
The Hardys are, I mean, really, like, that was the best thing to watch was, like, when they were doing, like, the TLC matches, and, you know, like, the Hardys were always doing, like, the crazy dives. Edge and Christian were always doing, like, the hardcore matches. The Dudleys were just, like, always shooting weird angles. What about you? Do you want to spike Dudley?
Dude, all the time. Every day, every night I go to sleep and I pray and I'm like, when are we gonna get a Spike Dudley? Lord, please can I?
You know, I looked it up. He wasn't even related to the other two.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he wasn't a real Dudley. His real name's like Kenneth
Poser.
Haberdash or something.
What?
Yeah.
A wrestler didn't use their real name?
Yeah.
God, I feel so lied to.
I know.
What in the world?
No wonder they were so mean to him.
No wonder. For me, everybody's gonna sound like a broken record here. Sting, obviously, Hulk Hogan. Newer wrestlers that are my personal favorites include Bobby Roode. I really want a Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins just because I really enjoy their wrestling figure podcast. I think that's really fun, and their YouTube channel video is really fun to look at when they go hunting for wrestling figures. So those are some like cool cats and kittens that I would really dig in the WWE Heroclix universe. Number 7. Any advice to WizKids to make WWE Heroclix better, Simeon?
Alright, so I said my serious answer is introduce like a shifting focus tag team type mechanic where like you'd have, so if they do like a whole set, I think they could do a whole series of just tag team dudes, and it would be like Matt Hardy has shifting focus with characters with like this name, and it would be like anyone that he's ever teamed up with, you know, for like a legit amount of time. And then you could do that with like Jeff and Christian and Edge and, you know, like all of those guys. So do something like that where it's like you can bring them in for like a free action, just like shifting focus does. Like to a lesser extent, my kind of advice would be to include elements from other sets, which would be like retaliation, equipment, title characters. I guess you could do like some sort of ID card thing, but I think just no, please don't do that.
Yeah.
If you wanted to sell the set as like a blind booster, sure, but non-blind ID cards, I hate ID cards in general. So like no, but if they wanted to really sell stuff, that'd be the easiest way. You imagine calling in someone with submission, placing them and then doing the submission the same turn. Imagine how awful that would be.
That'd be pretty terrible. Ugh. Outside the game, yeah, you just plink, there's one, you can't move. Sucks, doesn't it? I'm like, yeah, it kind of does. I kind of said 3D objects. I think equipment would be really cool. I think there's a lot of things we could do with equipment in the WWE universe. Baseball bats, kendo sticks, sledgehammers, etc., just to name a few. And then, even then, like 3D objects like tables, chairs, just going like making it really fun. Make a table, breakable. That'd be so cute. It'd be so cool. It'd be so fun to do. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It does like one extra penetrating or something.
Yeah. Like it does like an extra damage, but really it breaks your fall. But it still kind of hurts, to be honest. And then I said normal blind boosters. Try blind boosters. Seriously, try them out with WWE. Obviously, this probably still worked because people that wanted them were going to buy them anyways. But try blind boosters, try super rares, try primes, try like normal set, loadout. Heck, do a super booster set, but have all the super boosters be vehicles. You could do it. You could do it. Don't act like you couldn't do it. You could easily do it.
Or just terrain. You have
or terrain.
The
Vehicles,
Spanish announcers
terrain,
booth.
Like whatever. Yeah. Oh yeah. Like the announcers booth, they always like throw people through. Like that'd be awesome. That'd be hilarious. Like there's plenty of things. It is not a property that hasn't been fleshed out to its fullest. There's so much room for play. Absolutely.
And Finn Balor as a prime would have made so much sense. Like Finn Balor as the A and then the Demon as the B.
Yeah.
Same with like Bray Wyatt and the Fiend.
Yeah, shift the focus. Hulk Hogan, Hollywood Hulk Hogan, like literally whatever. Like there's so much room to make a much bigger set, and I think that'd be awesome. And then you could have lower level like characters who just sort of get on, like Chris Benoit can be a common. Sorry for specifically naming you Chris Benoit, but like you know what I'm saying? Can't. Like people
We've
like
been
that.
over this. He straight up cannot be in any set ever. He won't be.
Yeah, he definitely won't. But yeah. Number 8. How much of an impact do you think WWE Heroclix will have in today's game? Simeon, how much of an impact do you think WWE had in the game so far?
I think it's real hard to say right now. So I think that they're super potent in casual. So in casual play, playing like a full WWE squad is the same to playing like a full squad of like Batman Ally, where they're all in stealth and your opponent plays all range, and they're like, oh, so I just can't shoot you this whole game, and you're like, nope, and no one sees through hindering. So the one thing is, like, it doesn't matter if they see through hindering against WWE, they still can't target you with range or outwit. So while that's pretty rough for just like casual play, I don't think there's that one standout like broken WWE figure. Like most sets have like the one combo that's like busted. I don't think WWE has that one thing. Maybe I'm just missing it. Maybe it's like Undertaker and I just haven't played it enough to notice. But I don't think that WWE really breaks into like the meta in a big way yet. I know it does in Pauper, but that's because it's kind of like restricted, and so WWE's kind of powerful in that. But so is a lot of other stuff. And I think in modern like 300, I think ID card options, like being able to call in a Wolverine and charge flurry somebody, and then have like the Cyclops that's on your main force like Pensai them afterwards, is just like a super easy way to deal with WWE in modern.
Faux show. I think overall, modern game, I don't think they're going to have the biggest impact. The ring, obviously, is going to probably be the most played WWE element in 300 constructed. And then besides that, maybe like Asuka, Eddie, something like that. Something small, maybe a couple of figures here and there. I think during Pauper, there's no reason not to play some WWE figures. I think they're amazing in Pauper. I think it limits the scope and the field of play just enough to make WWE super duper viable on their own without a lot of support. I mean, like, I really can't say much. Like Simeon went in with the team that he didn't know that like the back of his hand. He's just like, I want to play some WWE figures. These are very good, solid WWE figures. I kind of have a feeling of what I want to do. And he won. Like, went undefeated the whole day and won. Like, that's pretty amazing. So I absolutely would say WWE is pretty great. And not just that, but, we saw it do really well in other places too. So it's not a corner case at all. You know,
I also
it did really well.
I followed like the super simple like starter set of like how to build a team with support. I had my 1 perplex, my 1 outwit, and my 1 prob. And that's literally like, I was like, Eddie's got a good prob. Shawn Michaels has good like stats, and he's got a perplex for like 75 points. Right. And I literally only put Stone Cold on there for that outwit top dial. He's one of the only ones that's got outwit top dial for, you know, under 80 points. But yeah, I think Pauper's their real place, but I just don't see him. Like if I took the Worlds teams, I don't see them getting past like Q Prime super easily. I don't see them surviving Gardner because that's like a close attack. So, you know, he doesn't really need line of fire. They don't have enough reducers to really make that outwit protection matter top dial, which is good because imagine like not being able to pen psi and they've got impervious and you don't have any exploit on your team and you can't outwit impervious and they just like keep hitting those rollouts, you know.
That would be pretty sucky.
That would be awful.
Right on. Totally agree with you. Number 9. Almost there. Let's rattle through these bad boys. How many WWE Heroclix did you get, and how many of those are you going to use in the game? I'll go first. I got the ring starter, Triple H, John Cena, Flair, Macho Man, Finn Balor, Andre the Giant, Undertaker, Kane, and Rock. I only got the characters that I knew a lot of or even cared about, and then I just got both starters because they were starters. How many will I play? Yeah, probably quite a few. I don't know if I'm going to play Ric Flair as much as I thought, or I'll probably never play that main set Finn Balor, to be completely honest with you. But I'll probably definitely get my use out of everybody else, I would say.
Yeah,
Simeon.
I got one of each, and I'm planning on, with the exception of some of like the duplicates that we have, so some like the starters kind of things, I probably won't play the mixed tag team match starter outside the ring, but other than that, I'm planning on playing one of each.
Right on. Number 10. Which WWE powers and abilities, also other new rules, example ropes, people still must understand or don't understand. That was introduced in WWE. It's been like 3 weeks. Like, come on. Like, let's chill out. Like, when we first got the game, you know, or first got into the game, you couldn't expect us to know what all these powers do. And I know it's only like 8 or whatever new powers. But, you know, it really can't. I don't think you can really dog anyone for not knowing them. So I would say the most things people don't understand is the fullness of what the team ability does, because there is a lot there. I had one person not know that he could also not be targeted by range attacks if it's only the, first attack? Something like that. It's something weird like that. Like
if you're on click 1, or if it's like the second range attack that turn.
Second range attack that turn.
Or blue click.
Yeah, or a blue click. Some people didn't understand that it's blue clicks, right? Like there's a lot to it. And then I think some people still mess up a few powers here and there. Heck, if you ask me, boom, right now, what does slingshot do? I'm like, knock back, something about bouncing off ropes. Like that, I would be like, I don't totally know, man. Leave me alone. So yeah.
Yeah, though, I mean, there's bounce, pin, WWE rules, and grand entrance, and in a multiverse game you use all 4 of those, so it's pretty crazy. Also the fact that it's protected pulse wave, so really like the team ability is the biggest one. I honestly, I'm glad I had like the WWE pack with me, because remembering reversal is a big one. It's basically like a free attack if they missed you or if they tried to break away and failed. That one's big. A lot of times I would tell people like, Asuka's going to use submission hold and that deals 1 damage, and they'd be like, okay. And then they'd just sit there and be like, so take your 1 damage. They'd be like, oh, you're not going to roll for it? I was like, it's like poison. Should have said that. There's not a lot of free damage in the game, so
no. Yeah,
having a new free damage thing, it's pretty big.
That is 100% true. Pretty big. Free damage, yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Number 11, last question, and this is a fun one. If you were a WWE Heroclix character, what powers and abilities would you put on the card? What would your WWE character name be? So I'll go first. I was like, should I think of some really cool, creative WWE like character name? But instead, I decided to go with the fact that a lot of the time they give people with like super normal names just different other normal names. Like a lot of the time, for whatever reason, they're like, yeah, Bryan Danielson sounds pretty lame. We're going to instead make you Daniel Bryan. Like, what? Like, I get you're just switching it around, but like, it's not that different. So, and then there's like other people. Obviously, John Cena, that's like his real name is like John something Felix Anthony Cena, I want to say. Like, he just like, it's just his name. And then there are people that just like, you just like gave me a different name. Like, my name's actually whatever like Kurt Hawkins' real name is. It's like something like whatever, and it's like, but you just gave me another normal person name, Kurt Hawkins. Like is that much cooler than whatever his real name is? I don't know. I don't remember. Sorry, bro.
You're gonna go by Rocky Maivia.
Right. Like it's okay. So I just put in random name generator. I filled it out. So I got Christian Rogers and Nate Campbell. So like Chris Rogers or Nate Campbell are like the two I couldn't choose between out of like 20 male names. So I'm like, those would be my wrestling names. Either Chris Rogers or Nate Campbell. I could see either one of those. As for powers I just looked at the WWE pack. I don't see myself having anything that gives me extra move. I am not that nimble, a moving person, sidesteppy wise. So I give myself like the only speed power I could see in that pack, and me having is charge. Like that's totally it. Slam, combat reflexes, because that day we decided I wouldn't get toughness. Against my, by the way, I was like totally, I was like, I should probably have toughness, and it's like, nah, you get in a submission hold, you would take that damage. I'm like, fine, whatever. So I'm like, whatever. And then I would personally, I'd give myself leadership and power. Not that I'm a leader, but more or less, I'd be like, hey, can you help me beat this guy up in some kind of, like, any scenario is probably the first or second thing I would say besides you're dead, punk. Yeah, because I'm so cool. So yeah, those are like literally all the powers. I'm like, I don't think I would get any of the other ones, and I think I barely deserve some of these. So, yeah. Simeon.
You should add like Captain to the beginning of your wrestling name.
Oh yeah, Captain Chris Rogers.
Captain Chris
Close
Rogers.
Enough. Captain Nathan Campbell.
Nathan Fillion Campbell.
That
guy. So for my character name, this is like something like some of my friends. It's a long story, but I typically go by Bruce when I'm at work because it's a simple, small name. It's 5 letters. It's easier for people to process. And if I'm having a small interaction with you, I don't want half of the interaction to be you trying to figure out how to say my name. So Bruce is something that's simple enough where, like, hey, that's the shark from Nemo, and then it stays in their head. And it's also my last name, so if someone says Bruce, that also applies to me. For some reason, one of my friend's younger brothers decided to start calling me Brucifer. So my wrestling name would be El Brucifer, which is Spanish for the Brucifer. Nice.
And any powers that you would have, El Brucifer?
Yeah, to have like some sort of like lucha mask. So I decided I'm gonna have Flying Leap since I work on heights. It might be more like Falling Leap, but you know,
hey,
I feel like it's close enough.
It's flying with style, right?
Yeah.
Flying with style, that's all flying is, yeah.
And there's definitely going to be a +1 damage if I land on you from up there. I gave myself reversal and submission just because, like, I used to wrestle. I know a submission or two. I probably don't know a reversal, but I can keep you from breaking away from me. I don't know. For a defense power, I couldn't really think of something that fit me, so I gave myself barrier. Because I'm really good at putting up barriers between myself and other people.
Oh, go cry.
You know what, Galder? There's another barrier now. You don't see it, but it's there. And then I gave myself Perplex for damage, because I figured I'm witty enough I could perplex something.
You are quite perplexing.
Yeah, I could like whisper in someone's ear, be like, "You should poke him in the eye," and be like, "Yeah, +1 damage right in the eye," and like poke him in the eye. I don't know what I'd be like mid-dial, but I feel like I'm only like 2 clicks long, you know?
Yeah, I'm not. It's like a cow knocked me out once, so like I'm not seeing myself go for very long. To be fair, that is like a 1-ton beast, so just saying. Thank you so much, Malcolm, for your questions. Thank you so much for writing in. Moving on to Vigilante Chris Collectibull. Collectibull's questions. These are Star Trek related. So you can tell there's a difference in the level of thought put into each question because he knows
the difficulty level.
The difficulty level is still somewhat high for me, even though it really shouldn't be. What are 3 Star Trek pieces Calder has used? What are his thoughts? So we'll do that one first. This took me. I played a Star Trek team. So fun fact, I did play a Star Trek or Starfleet team. So checkmate there, Collectibull. All right, I played a team once for 1 round, and that was it. Do I remember who was on that team? It took me a long time. It took me a really long time to think of 3 people that were on that team. I'm not gonna lie. And besides that team, have I played Star Trek at any other time? No. But here are the 3 figures that I played. Ensign Crusher, Ensign, however you say it, Lieutenant Kyle, and Title Christopher Kirkusis, a.k.a. Captain Kirk, because that's definitely his real name. Ensign Crusher I thought was cool. The ability to re-roll those powers are all really neat. Sidestep with telekinesis is cool for Lieutenant Kyle. And I thought Title Kirk was an alright soldier. He had a deeper dial. My opponent was slightly caught off guard, although I was absolutely getting destroyed in this game. So yeah, I have played 3 figures, and there were some other characters on that team, but I don't remember any of their names. Simeon's question, however, was for Simeon, what is 1 Star Trek piece that best represents their character? Which piece is the worst representation of their Trek character? Okay.
Alright, so there's a couple options. I really wanted to go with like Data, because I don't think there's a single Data with like super strength, and we should have got one. But worst Star Trek character that doesn't like represent them as I want them to be represented is the title character Captain Kirk. So the reason I picked
played that one.
Yep, hey. You did. Hey, we can have the same one. I'm not saying that you were wrong for playing him. I'm just saying he wasn't represented well, Calder.
Oh, sure.
You should know your characters better.
Yeah, I don't.
So my biggest problem with him is his sculpt has a big old sword, and he's ready to fence with it. And then his top 2 clicks are running shot, Pensai. So that's my biggest problem with it. The other thing is he's a title character, and he's got the transporter thing, and I really don't like how they did the transporter thing. They gave like the title characters those, but there's not like a great way to just move the characters that are actually on your force. You can bring in other characters that weren't on your force, but there's not like a great way to move the ones that you started with. His other title character ability is free until your next turn. When a friendly character is missed by an attack, after resolutions, remove an action token from that character. So I do like this from like a leader perspective, but the name of it is Let's Not Spend an Eternity in Feudal Bloody Violence. And then his whole dial is either running shot or charge. So he's spending his eternity as a Heroclix in Feudal Bloody Violence. Like, he's never not attacking. That's his whole dial. Combat reflexes, toughness. He does go through like 2 clicks of leadership, 2 clicks of outwit, 2 clicks of perplex, 2 clicks of prob. He's almost like one of those characters that it would be like turn to a different click and then turn him back at the end. But he's just like, you land on whatever garbage you land on. That's like, I mean, he's really not a bad figure. It's just not the Kirk that I wanted. I think the Naked Time Kirk, the chase one, I think that's more in line with the Kirk that I like. It's just like the double like back fist thing that he does, where slaps him with both fists. And then the character that I think was most correctly done, I suppose, is the Borg Queen, also a title character for the Borg. This is because she's got assimilation, and none of the other Borg have assimilation. Borg Search Party and the Borg Boarding Party can both do what they call like assimilate, which is they can potentially make a Borg drone, but the Borg Queen can do what actual assimilation is, which is take the best parts of an enemy and incorporate it into the Borg army, and that's one of her title character abilities. So I still haven't done it to the extent that I want to, which is play it in a competitive game and KO a cheap, like let's say a Wendigo for 15 points, and then I assimilate it with 2 plot points, and all of a sudden now I have a Wendigo on my team. So that's what I really want to do, is like steal a Colossal, like one of the cheap filler pieces, and then just ruin my opponent's day with it. I did play her at Worlds in one of the side events, and her +1 ability, where you can free move, close, or range, you can pick one of those, and everyone that's adjacent when you pick doesn't, if they use one of those action types, it doesn't count towards your action total for the turn. This means potentially 8 people could move, and it wouldn't cost you a single action, all in one turn, and that's pretty cool. It's great for mobilizing the drones.
Right on. Well, all that Star Trek stuff sure was fascinating, but
another thing about the Borg Queen,
I really don't. Please, could we not?
The cool thing about the Borg is,
jeez. Everybody, thank you so much for listening. This was episode 284. As a reminder, yeah, that's right. We're cutting straight to the end because I had it up to here with you Trekkies, you people. Dial H for Heroclix Twitter is @DialH4. That's the number 4 Heroclix. Facebook.com @Facebook.com/Dial H for Heroclix. We're on iTunes, Podbean, YouTube, and you can send us an email for whatever reason, just to bother us. Send us about your Sensi business. That was a reference that 2 people will get. You can go ahead and do that at Dial H for Heroclix @gmail.com. Excuse me there. And then, of course, if you want to support us, we also have a Redbubble and a Patreon where you can go ahead and buy stuff on. We're also on Radio Public and Listen Notes. Simeon, you want to read us out of here?
Yeah. I just want to say, while barrier tech might be good in the game of Heroclix, maybe take down those barriers in your real life. Let people in. And with that, Dial H for Heroclix is brought to you by CoolStuffInc.com, where you can find cool stuff in stock every day, including all the latest Heroclix singles and sealed products, barrier markers if you need some. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Happy trails.
Nice stuff.